Okie dokie. As always, Joshy does get us into giggles as he does do his best ever. Oh dear, oh jeepers, Scoob. Fantastic. That is, of course, what happened last week, and now you get to see what happens this week. Europe's done and does it for now. Sunday we will return to see the semis played out. We got to see what Immortals, new look Immortals, could do. A quick 2-0 there. Good to see what they were capable of. And now we do head to North America. Now, throughout all of this, guys, we'd love you to throw everything you can at our social media, and so I'm just going to remind you of that. It is #OW Open. It's so easy to remember. In fact, right, Ben, you've just heard it. What is it?
OW Open.
If he can
I mistweeted it earlier.
He's even tweeted it. There you go. #OW Open, guys. Do be sure to head over there, and all the information as well is underneath us. OverwatchOpen.com is your best resource for finding all the information on this fantastic tournament. Now, though, we do move into the nitty-gritty. You talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again. It is just kind of walking through the leaderboard for North America. I'm sure we can kind of bring that up and walk you guys through it just to kind of understand what exactly is going down in this tournament. Now, ZP, you've been watching this from way before the Overwatch Open. You've been aware of these North American teams. This is, of course, how it is structured. Before I do talk to ZP, you can just see that it is, as always, the playoffs. 12 teams from either side of the leaderboards, just picking up those points over the 4 weeks of gaming, gets them into those spots in contention for the playoffs. And, of course, that does get funneled into a group stage. This is the playoffs I'm talking about, where you will see 8 teams from either region thrive and lock themselves in for a spot at the E-League Arena. 16 teams are heading to Atlanta. That's going to be so damn awesome. And one more spot does remain. It does quickly fill us in, and you can see now this is ZP where I was hoping I could pick your brain. Complexity holding that top spot, NRG. But who else are we expecting to see kind of work their way through week 4?
Well, really, of course, Team Liquid has been very up and down. You can't discount them. Truly the dark horse, which fits their logo fully. You look a little bit further down. CLG, I think, has been on a rise. They have potential to explode. Selfless, they're also one to watch. And Northern Gaming is probably the least represented here. I mean, they've had a lot of trouble. There was a point where they were giving trouble to every top team in the game, sans envious. And they had the roster move where they lost Bird. There was a lot of drama around it. They have yet to recover. But you know that 5 of their players, if they get the right extra player with them, can bring it. So I think they're a team to watch, but right now that has been the best few weeks for them.
And now that's an interesting point. Let's actually tug on that thread. We'll get rid of this for now. You can see that those are the 12 spots that will be picking up the spot in the playoffs. At the bottom of that, you do see Gecko Fox and Yamono. Coming up today, you have Northern Gaming Method. And Northern Gaming is where I'd like to start this discussion with you as well, Ben. ZP is already hinting that there's some kind of untapped potential there. Where's he pulling that from?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Northern Gaming, as ZP rightly mentioned, they were taking maps off the top teams.
Name them.
Both,
so like the likes of
both
Envy
from
or
North
underneath?
America and Europe.
Okay.
I mean, this team, Northern Gaming, they kind of exploded out of nowhere. They were doing well, but all of a sudden, they started competing toe-to-toe with teams like Cloud9. They have taken series off teams of that caliber as recently as about a month ago or even less. As ZP also mentioned, they lost one of their key members, and they haven't really shown up since then. It's been a bit of a surprise. It's been a bit of a shock because they were being mentioned on the same level as some of these other great teams.
Now, this is an interesting discussion because we've had it pop up before during these roster moves, is the impact a loss of one player can make. I mean, it's a 6-man roster. You'd expect that you'd still operate at like 80% capacity without that one player, right? I mean, that's kind of how it works out in my mind. Why is that not the case, do you think, guys? Does it come down to the hit scan? Is that what he was? Was that what the role Bird filled? Mm-hmm. So it just comes down to having that influential damage dealer that obviously plays more than 20% of a team's roster.
The one thing I'll say is that I think the impact of Bird might be a little overstated, and the reason is that he left right when it coincided with the meta change. The other thing that was really propelling NG to great heights was that Mangachu had a great Pharah. So you had the 1-2 combos that you had Bird on a Soldier pre-nerf with Mangachu on Pharah pre-McCree buff, Zen buff. And it was really the perfect meta for NG. So for NG, they got hit with a double whammy. Not only did they lose Bird, who was one of their hit scan specialists, but Mangachu also lost his favorite hero, effectively, because Pharah's... We do see her come out every now and then. Cheer4 has shown that, but she's not the pick every game type of hero that she once was.
Yeah, no, we haven't had a chance to talk to you about that, Ben. The meta has shifted, of course, way back when. In fact, that's when you were last kind of sitting in the caster seat, was when you did see the likes of Pharah and Mercy floating around. You've seen the shift, you've casted the shift. Where do you think we're at right now? Does Pharah kind of turn back up, or are we in a kind of a bit of a plateau here?
Well, I certainly hope so. She's a fun character to watch. Just the amount of damage that Pharah can output is kind of insane, but she's also a sitting target in the air. When you're floating around, you're not moving horizontally very quickly, it's really difficult to evade something like a great McCree, something like a great Zenyatta is always going to discord the Pharah because she is such a high priority target. Now that McCree and Zenyatta are such staples of almost every team composition, especially on the payload maps, you're just not going to see a ton of Pharah. That said, teams like EnVyUs and Cloud9, the top two teams in North America right now, have brought her out from time to time, so not going to discount it entirely.
Situational, perhaps.
Situational and probably not as good as some other compositions at this point.
ZP, I can see you're chomping at the bit.
I am. There's also another thing for Pharah that I think is sort of, it wasn't immediately taken into, but
D.Va.
of course, it's not just D.Va.
Oh.
It's also Ana.
Yeah.
That's another hero that can put out serious damage
Okay.
on a floating target. And I don't think we've really seen enough Pharah to see this counterplay come out. But I think if people were starting to use Pharah a little bit more often, I think you'd see Ana come out more often to deal with her. So all in all, Pharah had a whole bunch of things conspire against her all at once that made things a lot rougher
It's
for
actually
her.
a very interesting point. It was just like a collaboration of lots of different things that kind of waved goodbye to Pharah. Because I remember reading an article, and it was not long ago, like probably 5 weeks ago, where it was like, well, why Pharah is the must pick in competitive. And I remember reading through it like, this makes a lot of sense. And then as soon as I sit down in this chair, there's a patch, and we wave goodbye to the Pharah. And I think Ana is a very interesting discussion topic as well. I will keep bringing this up just because it is the new addition to the game, right? Like, this was not the original 22. This is our next one. And I think it's interesting to think about, her applications into the meta, whether or not we'll be seeing more of her. I think even now, like ZP, we've casted 2 weeks, and I feel like even now we're seeing more Ana than we did in the initial release, wouldn't you say? Like,
Yes.
she is cropping up.
Teams are getting more
Just a little
comfortable
bit.
mixing her.
Just a little bit. I mean, I admit that we are locked in with kind of almost a guaranteed 5, depending on the map. Talking of maps, Kings Row, Anubis, and Nepal.
Oh, so we actually have our first 2 capture point map
I'm going to call it Nepal
of the
from now
night.
on. That's it.
And I think it's actually it's apropos that not apropos. It's good timing to bring it up at this point because actually I think Ana is going to shine really on these 2 capture point maps because all you have to do is get one successful push, and Ana is really good at that. Ana, of course, with her nano boost comboed with something like a Genji Dragon Blade, is almost unstoppable at this point. Not a lot of people really know how to stop a nano-boosted Dragon Blade. So we might actually see Ana come out on a map like Anubis because all you need to do is win that one team fight. You've captured the point, you can move on to the next.
And that's when you get these crazy speedruns on Anubis because of things like that. It's actually, I do prefer like a nano boost on a Genji than I do a Reinhardt. I don't know why we've seen this kind of, it always seems to be automatically thrown on the tank. Can you theory craft that for me, Zeep? Like, why? Why is it just like the big chunky tank that they want to get nano boosted?
I guess the best thing I can come up with is that it gives you a lot of positioning. I mean, if Reinhardt's charging at you, you can't really stand your ground. You have to back out. So it's one of those things where even if Reinhardt's not getting kills directly, he's still having a domino effect on the other team that's freeing people up. It's putting them in positions they don't want to be in, then the rest of the team can go in. So you sort of get a similar effect from Dragon Blade at times too. Like sometimes I think casters a little bit too hard on Genjis at Dragon Blade, and they get nothing. Like they go in, they slice and dice. They're not getting much, but then the team still wins the fight. Why? Because while they're running from Genji, just fleeing for their lives, guess what? There's a McCree in the back or something similar that's taking them out.
Now, Ben, you said before in your previous cast, you said that you believe Genji is the most complex, the most kind of skill ceiling on it than any hero currently in play. Is that a blanket opinion, or do people have kind of a point to disagree with that? I'm not going to use Zeke. Do you have anything to kind of counter that, or do you believe that Genji is the highest skill ceiling hero currently in play?
I think Genji's in a tier of high skill ceiling heroes. I think there's no doubt he's one of the top. People make arguments for hit scan because in theory there's like no limit aside from hitting 100%, which no one has done. Probably
Because we
will
are
in any game
human
ever.
beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think clearly Genji is one of the very highest skill cap heroes in the game, which is why your very notable Genjis that are amazing at the hero stand out so brightly compared to a lot of the other heroes in the game.
I mean, yeah, and I do think it's interesting as well when you look at, okay, you're going to look at me funny here, you might raise an eyebrow, but like you look at Zarya and you look at, that Korean girl who everyone thought was just like illegitimate, like she was not doing this properly because she was basically, like she was carrying games single-handedly. I still feel like there's depth to some heroes that people are untapped depth that you'll be seeing more and more of as this game does develop. And this game is about to develop because we're going to be going into it now. The players are finally ready to hit that big green go button and we can go ahead and dive into another best of 3. It's our first, it's the round of 16, and we've got so much to look forward to. The likes of NRG, CLG are all waiting in the wings to play, and we're seeing more from Complexity as well as this night does progress and this weekend does progress. But for now, it's Kings Row, and it's going to be none other than Method and Northern Gaming that do clash across this best of 3. Fishsticks and ZP, enjoy this one.
This should be an interesting one indeed. Well, I do think that Northern Gaming has the advantage here. They have been on the back foot for the last couple of weeks, though, so their confidence might be a little bit down. On the other side, we do have, of course, the other team is Method. They were recently picked up by this new sponsor, so maybe they've got the wind behind their back. Well, they're certainly going to try to use that as best as they can as they're attacking first here on King's Row.
And
let's see.
And we were talking a lot about NG going into this, but let's talk a little bit about Method, formerly known as One Shot. Big players to watch on their team when talking about DPS. Ultimate Weapon goes all the way back to the very beginnings of the game. Well-known player, one of the better Genjis you can see. And Chronic, known for really good tank play, sort of one of the main leaders of Method. So I would expect to see big synergy actually between Ultimate Weapon and Chronic. Just the classic Winston Genji combo. You both dive in on the back line. Maybe look for the Zenyatta, try and start this off with a bang for Method. And they are already going in quite heavily. And there they go. Chronic into the back. Ultimate Weapon right behind. They are looking for that early pickoff. They don't get just in. In fact, have to back out a little bit.
All right, that Reinhardt shield has already been taken down super quickly here, giving tons of breathing room. But that said, Ned picks up 2, Ultimate Weapon picks up 3 to respond, and Exe will get 2 more. So that is the entirety of NG. Out, down, and this is for Method. Wow, look at that.
That was great coming out there.
Wow.
In fact, it was looking bad from the beginning. Of course, they lost Snow very early on. He got picked off, and usually that's a bad omen. Your McCree dies, right? Ultimate Weapon Exe say, no way, we still got this, and they just explode on the back line. A lot of poke was done, and they capitalized on that poke, and Method right now is setting a great time.
Yeah, that was a really quick cap on this first point. And we talked about this earlier in the night, ZP, but it just seems like King's Row has been around long enough, these teams know it so well, that the attacking team has been shaving time off their average capture as time goes on. Even 2 evenly matched teams will both usually capture the map in 5 to 6 minutes. It happens very, very frequently, so not a huge surprise to see the first point go quick. But here's the next engagement. It's going to start with a Graviton Surge, and NG has been demolished, ZP, in just a matter of seconds. What happened? It was a Genji Blade, it was a Graviton Surge, and here come Method.
Well, let's talk about Method right now. It has absolutely been the Genji Zarya show right now. Exe and Ultimate Weapon combined do a lot of the damage on point A. They do it in the streets phase, and now NG's going to have to scramble to bring this back. They might be able to get here in time to contest. They probably will. Brett Expert's going to lead in here with the Sound Bearer. They're moving in. Here we go. Deadeye out from Wolf. Sound Bearer is out. NG throwing all their cards on the table to stop this Method push right now and buy some time. They don't get any pickoffs, though, from that, and now Method might be able to turn this back on them. Transcendence and Earthshatter at the ready.
Yeah, Method is actually shutting down Dreams right now, as that sound barrier did absolutely nothing, and already nap time is down. It's going to be Ned going down, Mangachu going down, and the sound barrier of Method is up. That means the attacking team is going to easily be able to collect this next objective, and really only one more chance to stop this payload as it's made it to the final bend. And it's going to keep moving straight forward. If you look at NG, they're still not even in a position. And pot shots are coming out. That Lucio came out too early. And already Snow is going to get a couple shots, almost gets a kill, building his ultimate. So little plays like that are actually incredibly important.
Yeah, and you see NG right now. They're going to try and come back up. Zodek looking for the magic Earthshatter to try and buy some sanity here for this NG squad. They have had very little luck here thus far. Does have an opening, but no. Chronic swings the hammer in his face, takes him out. Already 65 for Method, and Method could put the finishing touches on this right here. Ultimate Weapon set up with the Dragon Blade, looking for his opportunity to go in. They're pushing it back. Snow with the big pickoff, and this is going from bad to worse right now for NG. They badly need a pickoff, but they are not getting it. And here comes Ultimate Weapon moving in. Chronic with the Earthshatter support. And NG is on the ropes.
Wow, Zodek's finally making an impact on the game, but it just feels like his Reinhardt was not in the right place at the right time almost ever. In that last engagement, he died basically for free. He moved too far forward. He gets the ultimate out, the Earthshatter, but it's too little, too late, and that is a ridiculously fast time.
It's about 3:24. Wow. Give or take a second or two.
Ouch.
So going
Brutal.
in, it's interesting to just look at the evolution, or in this case, the de-evolution of NG. I mean, certainly I think Method came out really strong. Like, Ultimate Weapon Exe did great. But this is not the NG of old.
No.
They did not look poised at all here, and even if they turn the tables on Method, this is going to be an incredibly difficult time to beat.
Right, and actually, correct me if I'm wrong, ZP, but there have actually been more than one roster change here because Ned is filling in now for Bird, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But Zodex is also new to the team.
Zodex is also new. I'm trying to think of who he replaced offhand, but you're right. He is new to the team. I'm not sure if he's filling a permanent role or swapping in, but he is a new face on the NG Red side. So, sorry, not NG Red. They're just Northern Gaming now.
Yeah.
There is no Red. Old habits die hard. But yeah, I don't know. it's not the greatest look for NG here, to say the least.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see what they can do on attack. It's going to be nigh impossible to beat that time. Only 3 minutes and 24 seconds on the clock left for them to capture all the points here on Kings Row, so it's got to be a flawless execution from here on out. And that's going to be tough to do against a team that just absolutely smashed on offense. It wasn't even close at all at any point. So we'll see.
So let's talk about magic numbers here for Method in terms of how many wipes they need to get to win this game. Generally speaking, teams do not cap Kings Row much in under 3 minutes in general. So I think for Method, their magic number here is only 2. If they get 2 full wipes that cause NG to have to regroup, that should be their game. So for NG, there's just very little margin for error here.
All right, we'll see how they decide to attack here first. Of course, we do have a Reinhardt. So common to have Reinhardt on attack and defense, but especially on defense on this first point. And their main goal is going to be trying to get that Reinhardt shield whittled down as quickly as possible. It is exactly what what happened to NG. I mean, their shield got taken down almost immediately, but they're going to engage right off the bat in hyper-aggressive push. They are not slowing down for anything at this point, but so far trading kills, ZP.
They're trading out. The Winston, though, is applying a lot of poke. Does have to back out a little bit without going down. Method fighting right back, though. They are winning this. The difficulty here for defense is that you don't want to trade out too much because then your reinforcements don't come in. And NG is doing a good job of breaking in here. The fight is going their favor right now. Mangachu is in the back looking for one extra pick off. If he gets it, they should be able to take this. But the problem here for NG is that even if they take this, it's not anywhere near as quick or clean as what Method did.
Yeah.
So this is still okay for Method, even if not ideal.
I mean, it's been a very strong first push.
Yeah.
They're gonna get this first point, but it was about 20, 30 seconds slower, or maybe 15, 20 seconds slower, and that's really important now with so little time on the clock.
I would say that they bought enough time there to actually reduce the magic number here, the Method for one. Method, if they get one big team wipe here, plus a little bit of stall, that's all they need to win this game. So here's what's at stake. If NG brings us back, not only is it a phenomenal comeback, it's also a phenomenal throw by Method. So a lot at stake here for both teams. Method should be able to finish this out, but there is this tension here as NG does have a bit of an ult advantage. We'll see what they do in this next fight.
Yep. Let's see. They do have quite a few ultimates to their name, and how will they engage in actually super aggressive defense? Aggressive offense, aggressive defense, and sound barriers for both teams. It's going to be all of the ultimates dropped. Snow, the only one left with an ultimate. The kills are going both ways as we speak, but Method actually falling just a little bit quicker. Red Expert, the Lucio for NG, has gone down though. So still a decent amount of momentum, but as you correctly mentioned, ZP, the fact that they even delayed the payload for a couple of seconds is really all they actually need in this engagement.
No, it is all they need here. They don't win the fight,
Wolf
so they
is going
can't declare
crazy,
victory.
though.
Yeah, well, Wolf gets a dash reset, so this is what NG needs. But you look at the timer here. Method, look at how they're going to engage the next fight. Xe himself could put the dagger in this game with a good Graviton. If he kills 3 people, that's it. It's over. Because even for NG right now, they could win every fight and still lose this if Method just stalls properly. So it's so hard for NG now.
Yeah, with only 1 minute remaining, any kind of stall is a huge deal. I wouldn't even be surprised to see something like a Mei, something like a D.Va, anything just to slow this down even further, because it doesn't really, doesn't matter how they slow this down. They can do it any way that they please.
Well, NG, this is the fight they need. Now with 45 seconds, they cut through Method so effectively here. There is the tiniest glimmer of hope. That, like, the fact that they were able to get there with Method not putting up a single peep. 35 seconds remaining. This is interesting.
As strange as it sounds, this is the point where if I'm on Method, my heart is starting to beat because I'm going, uh-oh, not like this, not like this.
It wouldn't be the first time that Method is thrown in a situation like this either. Like, One Shot has been known to do this. However, they're going to have to all die without any resistance here. 19 seconds remaining. Here we go. Graviton is out from the side of NG. They're moving in. They're looking for those kills. Snow, though, able to fight it back. Chronic with the kill in nap time, and that's going to be it. They're not, even if they were to somehow turn this around, which they will not, they would not be able to get the payload to the end. So a little bit of drama there. Not the greatest defense coming out from Method, but with such a quick attack time, they didn't really need to have a great defense.
Not at all, and wow. That was a strange game, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but just goes to show you, man, teams are just winning fast on attack, time and time again, and that certainly was the case here. Nice little spree here by Wolf in the end, a little highlight reel for himself, but that is going to zip up the first map, one and done in about 5 minutes. In about 6.5 minutes, the entire map is over, and the score line is now 1-0 in favor of Method.
Yeah, and for Method, again, they had a really good attack to be proud of. They probably will look back in defense and go, okay, we could have made this a little bit easier to deal with on some level. But overall, Method came out strong. NG still clearly has some problems to fix. But we're going to see here if NG can bring it back as we go to map 2. We don't know what it is just yet, but we will know after the break. Stay tuned.